Hello and welcome to AccelByte Partner Spotlights. These videos take you behind the scenes of some of the coolest game studios we get to work with and understand their journey from initial concept to launch. With that, let's jump right in. Today I'm chatting with Mike Stone, senior producer at Tripwire Interactive. A little bit about Tripwire. Formed in 2005 as a humble independent developer and founded by gamers who found success in the video game modding community, Tripwire Interactive has developed self-published, multiple critically acclaimed titles in the wildly popular Killing Floor and Rising Storm franchises, which have collectively sold over 20 million units to date. The studio's most recent hit release, Maneater, breaks new ground in the popular action RPG genre and finds players taking on the role of Deadly Shark with the uncanny ability to evolve as it feeds. Since then, Tripwire Interactive has expanded its business and now turns its experience and resources to publishing titles spanning multiple platforms and genres from other talented independent studios. The publishing division named Tripwire Presents aims to help like-minded independent studios bring their titles to market, including Chivalry 2 developed by Torn Banner Studios, Aspire 1 VR Operative developed by Digital Load, and Road Redemption developed by EQ Games and Pixel Dash Studios. Mike has been in the games industry for 21 years and with Tripwire for 6 of those. He started as a technical support lead at Mythic Entertainment and worked his way up to environment artist, design lead, and ultimately associate producer, which is where his producer track began. He was at Mythic Entertainment for 9 years. After Mike's time concluded at Mythic Entertainment, he was then employed at King's Isle Entertainment for 6 years. During his time where he worked on such titles as Wizard 101 and Pirate 101 as producer. After his time concluded at King's Isle, he was then employed at Tripwire Interactive, where he currently resides. He started at internal development side at Tripwire, but shifted over to the publishing side, starting with Chivalry 2. The first project he was a part of at Tripwire was producer on Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, which successfully launched on Steam in May 2017. His other time was spent with the internal team on Killing Floor 2, where he was a part of mini-game updates throughout the years. He was then lead producer on the publishing side for Chivalry 2, where he spent a good amount of time working with the fine folks at Torn Banner all the way through launch. Once Chivalry 2 was released, he shifted his focus to Deceive Inc., where he remains today, while preparing to launch that title to the market in 2023. Now let's get into some questions. Could you start by sharing a little bit about what drew you to Tripwire Interactive?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was interesting because I had played the Killing Floor franchise many years prior for Killing Floor 1. And when an opportunity arose where Tripwire reached out to me, it hadn't struck me yet that the name Tripwire was involved with the Killing Floor series. So when I looked it up and saw that it was an immediate, I think kind of like a love at first sight attraction. It was like, I would love to work for Tripwire because I'm such a huge fan of Killing Floor. So I think just knowing that the Killing Floor franchise was a part of their game repertoire, that immediately drew me in.
Yeah, thank you so much. What was it like moving to a publisher from a studio?
It was different for sure. The 15 years plus prior were all spent in development, right? So while especially from a producer angle, there's a lot of similarities, but instead of just working obviously with your own internal team, everything kind of shifted towards, hey, I'm going to be working with an external partner now. And that itself was just different because you couldn't immediately walk down the hall and ask someone a question. It was all, as we're doing now, via webcam, email, Slack. So I think that was one of the biggest differences in getting used to that. But, having done some art outsourcing in the past, dealing with partners, it was just a reminder of that, but on a more daily basis. So I definitely love this now, though. Just kind of dealing with folks externally just allows me to meet different kinds of folks and studios and such. And it's something I've grown to love a lot.
Yeah, sounds like a great time. Seems like a more dynamic environment to be a part of.
Yeah,
What
for sure.
attracted your company to work with Sweet Bandits to publish Deceive Inc?
So we met them originally demoing their game at, I think it was PAX East. I could have the PAX mixed up because I was not at that one, but it was at a PAX. Um, and it was something that we found the game title itself very unique. There's a couple of other spy games out there, but none that had the collective with the ideas and designs and such of a Deceive Inc. And I think that was our first attraction when seeing it on the show floor. Also, the graphic style was just different in itself, as opposed to something that was more realistic. Because a lot of those out there. Um, but from conversations that we had on the floor, from what I've heard, which are absolutely true because been working with the team now for 2 years, is that the team itself were awesome, very down to earth, super talented. They come from just different backgrounds with publishers, and we just felt that there was going to be a strong relationship there. And I think you can have a great game, but it's only going to be as good as the team that you're working with. And the Sweet Bandits are an awesome team and continue to be.
Hmm. You could touched a little bit about on it, but how does the game concept differ from previous games Tripwire has brought to market?
Well, from a perspective for how is it different from what Tripwire has done, we're primarily multiplayer game studio, Maneaters being the different one there. But where this differs is that it's the player counts from our prior games were a lot of 64 player based games like Red Orchestra, Rising Storm 2, Vietnam. Killing Floor had lower player counts as well, but this one is just a little bit different in that there's a couple different modes. There's the solo mode where it's free for all, up to 12 people, and then team mode as well is 4 teams of 3 for another total of 12 players per match, and that's different for us. A lot of our Tripwire games are very let's just say the rated M. They're gory, and there's a lot of killing going on. Where Deceive Inc, it's not so much about the gore; it's about the spy aesthetic. It's completely taken that 60s, 70s vibe where our Killing Floor is a lot more present, so to speak, and there's less of an angle of teamwork than Deceive Inc tries to go for. So I think from the aesthetically and just the type of game it is, we differ very much from our own catalog, and we found that very interesting to take on.
Absolutely, yeah. That seems aesthetically quite different than some of the
Very
previous
much.
games you've had. Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, can you tell us about the journey and some challenges that you and the team at Sweet Bandits were going through up to the point before Deceive Inc. is launching?
Sure. I think first and foremost, Tripwire presents. Chivalry 2 was our first major release as a publishing studio. So, while there was a few years of development and working with the developer at that time, we're still a young bunch from a publishing standpoint. So just on processes, what worked from one game and to the next title, there was just a lot of learning, whether it's working with first party, running alphas and betas. I think just things like that where we learned from prior projects to where we are now with Deceive, I think is not only a benefit to the Sweet Bandits team, because we as a studio and publishing team have learned a lot, but it mostly comes to things where it's like I said, it's tests and the title itself. Because for example, Chivalry and Sweet Bandits are very much different games, even though they're multiplayer. Um, I say some of the more difficult struggles so far or have been with crossplay. Crossplay is kind of new ish to the public. Not every game has it. Some games are still kind of working their way through it. Some games don't even launch with it right away. Deceive Inc is going to launch with it with crossplay on all platforms, but it's a challenge. There's just so many platforms involved. You need a solid QA team, which we have to check for everything that could possibly go wrong. So I would say between the testing and crossplay and everything involved with that is some of the challenges that we're probably the more difficult ones to overcome. But we did it with Shiv. We're going to do it with Deceive.
For sure. I mean, crossplay is definitely not easy. We hear that again and again from studios you work with. Is
Yeah.
crossplay the primary reason you chose to partner with AccelByte after trying to build in house, or was there more to that story?
No, absolutely. It's something that the Sweet Bennis had originally thought. this would be something that either they can work out themselves or with another partner they had in mind. But, from our review and experience of our prior engineers, AccelByte had a reputation for handling this stuff very well. So when the review time came up and we were looking at the various partners to work with, AccelByte was top of the list. We did our review, we had our conversations, and hey, look, here we are. And so far, it's been great. You guys, as of this interview, have just kind of concluded the work you needed to do right before we're going into cert. So kudos, we all hit the timeline, and that just goes to show you guys are great, top notch. You stay on schedule, and it's been a great relationship so far.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's high praise coming from you. As you look back over the past few years, what advice would you like to share with others in your position?
From the current position, take notes always, and always be prepared for change. Right up to the last second. As a producer, we hate the term feature creep because that usually means schedule change or we got to delay something, but it happens. I would just say, kind of get used to it and just do what you can to accommodate, but also, willing to make some sacrifices, but making sure the schedule still in itself remains on track. Um, I would just say that, I always say when no problem comes up as well, I would say usually in the end, everything always works out. It just may take time to get there, but, after doing it for 21 years now, everything usually works itself out and you get there. It just, gotta be calm on the bumpy road to get to that ending.
Hmm. Are there any blind spots you wish you knew to make that road less bumpy?
Um, I would say it's just like I mentioned a little bit earlier, just as we grow as a publishing team, we're going to learn more and more on things to be either proactive about in the next title, whether it's, through certification with first party, with crossplay, et cetera. The more we learn and the more projects we do, those are just in general blind spots that we'll overcome. But I think it's just going to take time. Not everyone knows everything, and even if you think you know something, sometimes the processes change. You just need to learn to adapt, and that's kind of what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing all that. It's great
Absolutely.
info for any stage of game development. And before we wrap up, I wanted to take a moment to get answers to some very important questions. What was the first game you played?
Oh man, I'll be dating myself here. The first game I played, you said?
Yeah.
It's a bad answer just because, but I'm pretty sure it was Pong, honestly, for the Atari, but it was either that or Tron for the Intellivision. And there's going to be people watch this. They're going, I've never heard of the Intellivision or Tron. Yes, I am 46. But I think it was either one of those.
Hey, that's awesome. You've definitely gotten to see all the different stages of how we got
Absolutely.
here. Yeah.
I don't regret it.
Cool, cool. What is your favorite game right now? I know you or we're excited about Killing Floor. What's got you bit lately?
Got my God of War shirt on, right? So the new God of War Ragnarok is definitely up there. But what you don't see or around is Witcher 3 is probably one of my all-time favorites. Um, if I had to pick something from long ago, it probably would be The Dig. It's an old LucasArts game that I was super into growing up.
Oh, cool. I don't think I've personally heard of the dig, so I think
It's
myself and
great.
some other viewers are going to have some homework to go dig into.
It's a good
Uh,
one.
what game release are you most excited about this year?
It was Ragnarok, which is out, and I'm still working my way through. But I'd probably say the next one up for me is the Callisto Protocol. It's got that Dead Space vibe going for it. Some of the Dead Space team. So it's probably that, to be honest, for the one game that remains coming out this year.
Hmm. For sure. Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Mike. I had a great time catching up and hearing about your experience. And I'll see the rest of you on our next edition of AccelByte Partner Spotlight, bringing you behind the scenes of some of the coolest game studios we get to work with.
Thanks, Nolan.
All right. Thanks so much, Mike.
Bye.